What is up, Broncos country, and welcome to a Victory Monday, Orange Weekly After Dark. As usual, I'm Jason. I'm with you tonight. Go ahead and start throwing up your comments, questions, discussion points that you would like to go over tonight, and we will definitely get rolling. Lots to talk about, lots of positive to talk about, which is definitely nice. Something that we were missing for a few weeks there with that 4-game losing stretch, but before we get into all of that, just a quick word from our sponsor, Pigskin Podcast. Football fans, who's ready to score some free bets? Now, you can when you bet on any NFL game this week with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers who bet just $1 on either team to score can win $100 in free bets. Simple enough. When a team scores, you score. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, don't worry. DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So all you have to do is download that DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $1, again, just $1 on either team to score. And again, you can win $100 in free bets. Again, that's promo code TBPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And don't forget, if you do have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so on to the show, guys. Again, welcome. Another big win for the Broncos, the biggest win this season, and definitely biggest one we've seen in quite some time for this team. And that definitely brings up one of the first questions: did this win save Vic's job? I guess it depends on what you mean by saves Vic's job. I think anyone who's seen my show this year, I've been pretty adamant that we won't see Vic Fangio go anywhere before the offseason. So in terms of that, I don't think it saved his job because I think he's with us for the season, regardless of what happens from here on out. But did it save his job going into next season? I think it's too early to tell. Lots of things can happen before then as well. However, if we're looking at some of the philosophical ways to think about it, could this be a turning point in his coaching career? Kind of that game that he builds a very successful couple of seasons. If people can think of this game as his turning point, then who knows? In 3 years from now, if we're being overly optimistic, we can look back at this game against Dallas and really, say, hey, that was the game that did it. That was the turning point for Fangio. That's where he got his confidence back. That's where he got his game planning back. And who knows what can go from here. Mike, you're killing me with the high Kev. Kev is my brother. He is the least good looking of the two brothers here. Jason here with you tonight. So I if we're throwing a bone at Kevin, then sure, but it's a little hurtful to read that. Okay, so here's the thing: they go 8-9. That's still the end of the season. Vic is with us for this season, especially now. Don't worry, Mike, just giving you a hard time. It's all good. But Vic's with us for this year, especially after the past couple of wins. Here's the thing, guys, and here's especially why we won't see him go anywhere anytime soon in terms of this season. Here's the AFC West picture heading into this next week. Chargers 5-3, Raiders 5-3, Chiefs 5-4, and Broncos 5-4. Every team in the AFC West right now has 5 wins. Obviously, Chargers and Raiders have played one game less, so that kind of puts them at the top right now. But that means right now, about the halfway point of the season, now just a bit beyond that halfway point, with 9 games played. Broncos are half a game away from winning the division. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that need to go right there. But here's the crazy thing to think about is the Broncos control their own destiny right now. We've kind of joked around here the past couple of seasons about, how long does it take until we're mathematically eliminated? Well, here's the thing. Right now, I don't want to say we're in the driver's seat, but we control our destiny. Right now, we don't have to rely on other teams to win and beat other teams for us to sneak in right now. Right now, if the Broncos take care of business, they're in the playoffs. And again, it's no small order. We've got to, we have another game against the Raiders, which we obviously did not play that well against them the last time we played them. We got 2 games against the Chiefs, and Chiefs have been struggling this year. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy game when we play them, especially at Arrowhead, but Chiefs, especially their offense, they're right now in a big rut. I think the biggest threat in this division right now, honestly, is the Chargers. I think the Raiders, especially with all their off the field distractions going on right now, that's going to be one of their shortcomings for this season. But Chargers right now are a pretty solid team. But point being, in a world of hypotheticals, if we win out the division, we're in the playoffs at that point. So, especially once we get healthy, right? This past game against the Cowboys wasn't just impressive with, up 30-0 with 5 minutes left against one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL, one of the best teams in the NFL at their stadium. But it's the fact that we did it with a bunch of second and third stringers. 3/5 of our offensive line starting was out. So, a lot of things to, just be considering here. And so, all that to say, Vic's not going anywhere anytime soon. Let's see. I think Peyton's message was heard loud and clear. If you don't play, you will get cut or traded like Vaughn. Vaughn did good this year, but Peyton needed to set an example, and sadly, Vaughn was the victim. That's an interesting way to look at it. I don't know if I've really thought of it that way. I think it came down to, Vaughn was on an expiring contract, and the Rams offered a heck of a deal for him that we weren't going to be able to get anywhere else. And so it was a deal that had to be taken. I definitely, I talked about it last week. I didn't think for 1 second it meant that the team was throwing in the towel. I did not perceive it as, hey, they traded Vaughn. They're throwing the white flag up. They're going to tank the rest of the season. I think it's just a situation that, it benefited all parties. Vaughn went to a instant competitor. We got some good draft capital out of it. And here's the interesting thing is, 2 weeks now, we've been without Von Miller. Against Washington, he was injured, wasn't on the active roster. And then this past week, obviously, was his first part of the Rams organization. Didn't play yet with them either due to his injury. But past 2 games, we've been without Von Miller, and we're 2-0 without him. And so it's an interesting dynamic. The Washington game was pretty sloppy overall, but this past game was executed very well on most fronts, not special teams. But, it's almost like people know that the team knows how much of a gap of a leadership problem that created. And so everyone's stepping up to the plate. Everyone is contributing more. And by doing so, the team is better in general. And that's nothing against Vaughn. I just think it's an interesting dynamic where everyone recognizes this gap. And so everyone knows that not one player can fill that gap. And so everyone by committee's doing it. And shoot, who knows if they play like they did against Dallas. And don't get me, Dallas underplayed. I think the Cowboys definitely disrespected the Broncos. I don't think they took the Broncos seriously enough at all. But it's not to say either that the Broncos got lucky or squeaked out a win. I mean, they were in control for most of that game. They did catch a very good break to start the second half for sure. But shoot, I mean, missed field goal, missed extra point. That's 4 points we left on the board right there. Could have been 34-0 at one point. And then, garbage time points for the Cowboys, getting 16 there. So, but overall, I think it was a game that was very, very well coached. And I think it was an example firsthand for everyone to see. Kind of what I've been saying on here is the players just haven't been executing the game plans up until this point. And so I think yesterday was a great example of what happens when players actually execute the game plan. So for me, I think just further solidifies that the issues that the Broncos have not been on Fangio nearly as much as a large percentage of the fan base want to just easily make him the scapegoat. And really it falls on the players. The players finally executed. They cut out some stupid mistakes on offense and defense, not so much on special teams. But by doing so, they had an extremely impressive win on the road. Mike, you're going to be out in Denver this week. That's awesome. I know Kevin will be at the game, so maybe you guys can see each other, tailgate with each other for a bit. I know it'd be pretty awesome to have you around and maybe give us some good reviews around Broncos tailgating. Tell more people to check us out. You're right. They got the Chargers and Chiefs after the bye. It's going to be an interesting stretch after the bye. So we got the Eagles coming up, and we definitely can beat the Eagles if we play like we did against the Cowboys. And then we have a bye. We can hopefully get some players back, get them a bit healthier, and then it's a very interesting stretch to the end of the season. With at that point we'll have 10 games played. So out of our last 7 games. 5 of those 7, I believe, if I'm doing my math correctly, 5 of those last 7 games are against divisional opponents. So it's a bit of an interesting dynamic. And again, those last 7 weeks are going to be massive in that divisional play to really see how this AFC West is going to shake out. We do have good history against the Chargers, even years where we might have been a bit outmatched. We seem to just do well against the Chargers, especially on the road. Raiders, I'm hoping that this team realizes how much they screwed up against the Raiders last time and come out with a vengeance. And again, Chiefs have been struggling. I don't think anyone's expected them to have struggled this much. I mean, they barely beat a team without Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers. They were only able to put up 13 points and gave up 7. And so they're definitely a very beatable team that I think the Broncos can take advantage of. So at this point, who knows? It's really the AFC West is anybody's game right now. Gus, thanks for joining us. Yeah, absolutely. Bring on the Eagles. Thanks for beating Dallas. Yeah, it was a big time win for sure. I feel the Cowboys not kicking the field goals sunk them in momentum. I think it was a twofold thing. I think not only did it sink them in momentum a little bit, but we heard some of the players post game talk about the disrespect they felt when the Cowboys went for both of those. The first one, okay, but the second one, you're really saying we don't care. We know we're going to have plenty more chances, and so it killed some of the momentum for Dallas, but also sparked a bit something in the Broncos. I don't think that they necessarily came out with. They took that personally, and I think because of that, they really took it to the Cowboys for that level of disrespect right on the front. Our kick returner Spencer needs work, or he can kick rocks. Here's the thing about our special teams, Gus. Our entire special teams needs work, or they can all kick rocks. How about that? It's not just Spencer. Yeah, he's part of the issue, sure. But again, our special teams with just another rough day for the 9th week in a row for this season. Again, even McManus was off a bit, missing again that field goal and extra point. There was one kickoff that I noticed where it almost went out of bounds. It barely touched into the corner to be ruled as a touchback. But so even he was off. We had, I think it was a 54-yard kick return at one point against us. A blocked punt that again was fortunate in how it deflected and that a Dallas player touched it beyond the line of scrimmage so that it became a live ball. We were able to recover with a new set of downs. instead of giving Dallas the ball around like 15-yard line. So a very lucky break there, but it doesn't take away from the fact that our special teams had another screw up in allowing a blocked punt. The Dallas player came through completely untouched. So we lucked out on that front, but absolutely another rough week for special teams. And, it makes you got to start wondering, you have to start, I don't want to say start worrying, because I think we've all been worrying about our special teams, but in a season where it might come down the last 7 weeks on if you're going to finish first or fourth in the division, special teams might make a difference in those final few games. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Gus, I will not be. My brother Kevin will be at the game. I believe he will be tailgating. I'll tell you what, because we would love for you to say hello and hang out with us. So I'll make you a deal. If you come and watch our show tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, Kevin will be on, and I'm sure you can ask him that exact same question as far as where he will be, and he will link up with you, get you the necessary information so you guys can absolutely see each other on Sunday. And again, we appreciate any positive feedback. We appreciate some negative feedback. It hurts a little bit, but we know we're always trying to get better for sure. But we also very much appreciate any reviews that you can give. So keep spreading the word for us. Keep helping us get our viewership up, because it's a lot of fun talking to you guys. I'll get right back at you, Mike, Linda. Thanks for joining me. Miss you. Hope all is well. What's my take on the Von Miller trade? The draft picks are nice. I think it was a great deal. I think, again, a lot of people, when it first happened, really took it as a sign that the Broncos were just giving up on the year, that they were throwing in the towel. They were giving up the playoff hopes, and Peyton was moving on. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it was just recognizing Von Miller was on an expiring contract, and that the second and third round draft picks are pretty solid for an in-season trade like that on an expiring a deal. And so I think it was just a situation where you realize that Von Miller is probably not going to sign with you in the offseason. So instead of the 5th round compensatory draft pick they would have got in free agency for Von Miller signing somewhere else, we got a 2nd and 3rd rounder out of it. And I think the message was pretty clear right after that internally that, hey, we're not giving up, that there's still plenty of season to be had. You heard a lot of the players talking about that, obviously the coaching staff. And I think they really stood up to that and put their money where their mouth was. And that, again, they beat Dallas handedly. Didn't let their offense get anything going without Von Miller, without Malik Reed. And again, injuries throughout the lineup. And so I think, I don't know if it almost sparked a bit something in this team. And hey, Von Miller was obviously a very crucial part to this team, but we can win without him. We don't need Von Miller anymore to win, and nothing again to disrespect Von Miller, because he was such a massive part of the team, especially Super Bowl 50. But I think this team kind of understands that, hey, our wins and losses does not ride on one guy. It's a team effort. It's a team sport. If we all step up, then we can absolutely win some games here. Shane, I see that you're saying hello and good night. Thanks for joining me for a little bit. Appreciate it. I know this After Dark show can be a little late, so thanks for joining me for a little bit. Be sure to tune in for the rest of the week. We've got other shows coming at you, including our show tomorrow night, and that's a bit earlier. It's at 7 p.m., so hope to see you there. Do we think this defense is legit? They don't seem to give up points, but they seem to lose close games. I think this defense has the potential to be very legit. I think we were all saying before the season that this has the potential to be a top 3 defense in the league, and they've been underperforming so far heading into this week. I think that this is, I believe, the highest paid defense in the league right now. And you got Vic Fangio, who is regarded as one of the best defensive minds in the game. And so heading into the season, they had a huge ceiling that I think that they just weren't living up to their potential for quite some time. I think last week was finally a glimmer into what this defense is capable of. And again, we did so with some pretty significant injuries, especially at our linebacker position. And so anytime you more or less shut out a team that is like the Cowboys, who were one of the top rated offenses coming into this game, again, at their home stadium, and you completely shut them down, has little to do with luck. It has everything to do with a great game plan that's well executed across the board. And I think that's, again, what we saw is finally the players executing the game plan without stupid mental mistakes. And that's been the biggest issue with the Broncos all year, in my opinion, is the player execution, right? Missing players on open passes, players dropping passes, stupid penalties, stupid blown coverages that, if they had just executed well, there wouldn't be a guy wide open like that. And so I think finally we were able to see what this defense is capable of, and the offense as well. I mean, we got 30 points for the first time in quite some time. And so, again, I think it was a well-executed game plan that we saw, and that's what can happen if this team continues to do so. Has Darby been healthy for you guys? Mostly. Our team has been battered with injuries across the board. Just to kind of give you a glimpse, Bobby Massey is probably going to be out for a couple weeks now with an ankle injury. Glasgow is out for the season. That is some harsh news for this Broncos team. It was a fracture somewhere along his ankle. He is done for the season. Purcell was out. Hopefully he'll be back for next game. PS2 left, I believe, around halftime, and they're saying he's day-to-day right now. He might miss a week, but they're saying he should absolutely be back after the bye. Noah Fant was out with COVID protocols. Malik Reed was out. Garrett Bowles obviously was out and is expected to miss a couple more weeks, I believe. Drew Lock was out for COVID protocols as well. Bassey was coming back from the PUP list. And so, and Callahan's on IR. So, and that doesn't, again, begin to cover some of the early injuries from the season. Alexander Johnson, KJ Hamler, Bradley Chubb, who's been out, Josie Jewell, who's out, OJ Moody was out was placed on IR back in September. So, I mean, this whole team has had a rough go again. And I feel like that's been kind of the unfortunate theme for at least the past 2 years, if not 3, maybe, is just that this is a beat up team. And so really anyone who's staying healthy for us is a bit of in the minority share right now. So again, hopefully we can come out with another solid game plan against the Eagles, get the win, get to the bye, and rest and heal up. Let's see. I feel like committing to the run really changed the dynamic for the O-line. Better road pavers than walls. It was finally nice to see a run game established. And I think it was twofold. I think it was a bit committing to it, but I think it was finally our offensive line creating some holes and gaps, and our running backs seeing the game well. Not to mention Javonte Williams breaks like 200 tackles a game, which always seems to help. So, it was definitely good. I think it definitely helped our offense out across the board. It opened up, more of a play action option. It kept the defense honest. They weren't able to just completely sell out against the pass. And here's the thing, our third round rate was pretty solid because we weren't in 3rd and 15s, 3rd and 20s all game long. We were able to finally get in some 3rd and shorts and take advantage of it. So I think the Broncos absolutely have a recipe for success the rest of the way. It's just a matter of if they're able to execute it. I agree the Eagles are a mess, but here's the thing. So this was a crazy past week. The Eagles are a mess, but we just saw this past week how many crazy things in the NFL can happen. We saw the Jags win. We saw obviously the Broncos win when they were, I think, 9.5 point underdogs. A few upsets across the league this week for sure. So Eagles are a mess, absolutely, but Broncos absolutely need to take advantage of that rather than falling victim to it. Again, I think that's a bit of what the Cowboys did. Is they fell victim to us, not respecting us, not taking us seriously coming into the game. And by the time they realized that, hey, we can beat them, it was a bit too late for them. So Broncos need to take that lesson and learn from it in a positive way and take that into this game against the Eagles. A win going into the bye and being 6-4 would be massive, especially after that 4-week slide that they had. So this is a pretty big game coming up here. It's very winnable for sure, especially at home. A lot of confidence on this team finally. Hopefully we're a little bit healthier, get a couple players back. And again, 6-4 heading into the bye isn't a bad position to be based on how this division is playing out. It would be very nice if the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs all drop a game here this next week. But at the same time, you can only control what you can control. And so at that point, the Broncos just come in, take care of business, then they can rest up, right? Play the entire game 100%, and then you get a couple weeks off. So lots of things to look forward to, guys. Again, not a bad position for the Broncos to be at this time of year. Again, rest of the season's in their hands right now. They're not in a position right now where they need help. They just need to take care of business. So I don't think that we'll see luck. Again, if we lose next week, we're not out of the running. It wouldn't be at that point. We might need to start needing some help to a degree, but with the amount of divisional games we still have, a loss does nothing in terms of taking us out of the playoffs. I don't think we see a lock unless one, Bridgewater's injured, or two, we are completely out of a playoff picture. And at that point, we might throw them a game or two. But right now, I think even with the loss, we're not going to see lock anytime soon, barring an injury to Bridgewater. So that's my take on it. Again, our playoff chances right now, we are very much in the hunt. And so I don't expect to see many changes at all. This is not a time, especially with one loss going into the bye, one more loss going into the bye. You're not going to see, full on changes, especially, if there weren't many changes after that 4-game slide. You're definitely not going to see them after another loss here. So expect more of the status quo. Hopefully this team can continue to build off the couple of wins that they've had. One was a sloppy one against Washington, and this was a very dynamic, explosive win with a lot of confidence against the Cowboys. So hopefully they can take that, build upon it, beat the Eagles, put themselves in a very good position coming out of the bye to turn some heads and, hey, make some noise coming down the stretch of the season. So I'm going to wrap up tonight, guys, though. Appreciate you all joining me tonight. Fun conversation for sure. It's always more helpful when the Broncos win. And that does lead me to our final segment before I close, the wonderful Victory Monday Mile High Salute. So go ahead and start throwing in who you believe your Mile High Salute should go to. For me, I'm going to throw it out there. I've been, really harping on how a lot of these losses that have been going on this season aren't falling on the coaching staff. And I think yesterday kind of proved that. I think this coaching staff can come up with a very dynamic game plan, especially Fangio. So normally these go to a players, but yeah, I'm going to change it up because it's my show, my rules. So my Mile High Salute is going to Vic Fangio on a very well executed game plan, showing that he still has a great defensive mind and can really change the dynamic of a game, even if his team is going up against one of the best offenses in the league. So anyways, guys, be sure to tune in the rest of the week for all the stuff we have coming at you. Again, our main flagship show is tomorrow, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Tim Patrick had another phenomenal game, so that is a very valid Mile High Salute to give to him. Fortunately, he was not injured as bad as I think a lot of us thought he was at first. He just had some cramps, so he should be back rolling against the Eagles for hopefully another big dynamic game. What else do we got coming at you? We've got post-game podcast coming, pre-game podcast. We've got tailgate talk. We've got halftime hash. Lots of content for you guys. Again, please keep spreading the word about us. We love talking all things Broncos with you guys. The more fans that show up to these things, the more fun it is for us. It's truly a show that was created by fans for fans. And shoot, again, If you're going to be at some games, try to find us. We're going to be, at least one of us will be at most home games for the rest of the season. So try to find us. And if you don't see us, or again, just through the word of social media, please give us some good reviews, share our page, share our information. Please keep promoting us. You guys are awesome at that, have been awesome at that. And we do truly appreciate your guys' help with all of that. So with all of that being said, again, appreciate you all. A great victory Monday for the Broncos with some interesting headlines heading into final stretch of the season. So be sure to tune in for the rest of the content. Let's hope for another victory before the bye week. And shoot, as always,